Welcome to Spectrum News at 4. I am Rita Inum, coming to you live from Uyo. Let's take a look at the headlines. Vice President Kashim Shettima urges states to back skills agenda. The national grid collapses, disrupts power supply. Plus, Qatar seeks to hold Netanyahu responsible for Doha attack. Details of these stories and more in a moment. We begin the news this hour from the national scene where Vice President Kashim Shettima has called for stronger collaboration among federal, state and private sector stakeholders to drive the Tinubu administration skills acquisition agenda, declaring that the era of working in isolation is over. Speaking at the 7th meeting Speaking at the 7th meeting of the National Council on Skills (NCS) held at the Presidential Villa Abuja, the Vice President said the government's skills revolution is a central pillar of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's renewed hope agenda, which prioritizes human capital development and job creation. In a statement issued by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Communications on the Office of the Vice President, Stanley Nkwocha, Shettima said the skills revolution is one of the covenants of this administration and it has entered into it with the Nigerian people. The Vice President commended Kaduna State Governor Ubasani for establishing and chairing the first Kaduna State Council on Skills and called on government officials, public servants and the private sector to work together, stressing that fulfilling such a promise is not a contingent on interagency harmony. Away from that, the federal government has officially published Nigeria's new tax reform laws in the government's gazette, marking a historic overhaul of the country's fiscal framework. This was revealed in a statement signed by the personal assistant on special duties to the president, Kamoruddin Yusuf, today. Signed into law by the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on June 26, 2025. The reforms establish a new foundation for taxation, administration and revenue collection. The four legislations are the Nigerian Tax Act (NTA) 2025, the Nigerian Tax Administration Act (NTAA) 2025, Nigerian Revenue Service Establishment Act (NRSEA) 2025, and the Joint Revenue Board Establishment Act (JRBEA) 2025. Meanwhile, the federal government has announced plans to begin the decarbonization of the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja. The Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, who announced the plans, said the challenges posed by climate change demand decisive and concerted action by stakeholders to embrace decarbonization. Keyamo, who was represented by the ministry's permanent secretary Ibrahim Kana at a stakeholders' engagement on carbon emissions management, suggested that the exploration of group electrification of aprons and terminals, sustainable aviation fuel corridors, and waste-to-energy projects reduce emissions in airport operations. Airport carbon accreditation certification for Abuja Airport would make the world and show that Nigeria is open for sustainable business. And in the meantime, the federal government, through the National Inland Waterways Authority, NIWA, has banned all unauthorized boat loading points across the country, calling for the passage of the Coastal Guards Bill to enhance water safety and curb boat mishaps. The managing director of NIWA, Bola Oyebami, made this known in an address concerns surrounding boat mishaps. Oyebamiji stated that no commercial passenger boat should be allowed to load from any point other than the recognized and registered points by NIWA. He further reiterated NIWA's commitment to safe waterways, especially through its continuous removal of aquatic waste, logs, wrecks, and other impediments from waterways that could hinder safe navigation. In another development, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has expressed readiness to collaborate with the National Bureau of Statistics, NBS, to strengthen the collection, management and the use of data for the benefit of Nigerians. The chairman of the commission, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, gave the assurance when he received the Statistician General of the Federation, Adeyemi Adeniro, and his management team during a courtesy visit to the INEC headquarters. Professor Yakubu described the meeting, the first between both agencies, as a significant step towards harnessing institutional strengths for national development. He noted that while the NBS manages the nation's largest official database on all aspects of national life, INEC maintains the most extensive database of adult citizens for elections, safeguarded by law and in compliance with the National Data Protection Act. In a separate development, Nigeria's national electricity grid has today collapsed, causing widespread power outage across the country. Data from the Independent System Operator (ISO) showed that power generation dropped sharply from 2,917 megawatts MW to 1.5 megawatts between 11 a.m. and 12 p.m. The Abuja Electricity Distribution Company (AEDC), in a statement posted on X, confirmed the incident, citing a loss of supply from the grid at 11:23 a.m. The company added that efforts were ongoing with relevant stakeholders to restore power once the grid is stabilized. And now to Africa, where African leaders and climate activists have called for a radical shift in global climate financing, urging the world to treat Africa not as a victim of climate change, but as a strategic partner for investment. Meeting at the second Africa Climate Summit in Addis Ababa, dozens of head of state and government representatives underscored the urgency of mobilizing resources to fund adaptation and renewable energy projects across the continent. Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed opened the summit with a call to replace climate aid with climate investment, emphasizing that Africa's resilience and renewable energy potential offers immense opportunities. The summit comes against the backdrop of worsening climate disasters in Africa, drought, floods and food insecurity that have hit communities, especially vulnerable communities. Meanwhile, Ethiopia has inaugurated Africa's largest dam, a $5 billion mega project expected to more than double the nation's power supply. The Grand Renaissance Dam, built on a Nile tributary near the Sudanese border, will generate over 5,000 megawatts, powering homes, businesses, and even the country's growing fleet of electric vehicles. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed hailed the launch as a big achievement, saying the dam shows what Africans can accomplish. Leaders from across the continent lauded the achievement, with South Sudan and Kenya announcing plans to import Ethiopian power. And on the foreign scene, Qatar's government is reportedly looking at holding Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu responsible for breaking international law by attacking Hamas leaders in Doha yesterday. Netanyahu says Israel was fully justified because it targeted senior Hamas leaders who organized the 7th October 2023 attack. Hamas said the attack killed 6 people but claimed none of its leaders died. Meanwhile, Israel's assault on Gaza City continues, with another high-rise building destroyed. And still on the foreign scene, U.S. President Donald Trump has reportedly issued a rebuke to Benjamin Netanyahu over Israel's strikes against Hamas in Qatar, insisting he played no role in the attack. According to reports, Trump has said that he was not notified in advance of the Israeli attack on the Gulf of the state, a crucial broker in the negotiations between Israel and Hamas on ending Gaza's war and securing the release of hostages held by Palestinian militants. A statement issued by the White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt states that Trump is focused on the possible damage his efforts to end the war in Gaza. And still to come in the news, NFF blames 2 Super Eagles players for 1-1 draw with South Africa. Stay tuned for details of this in a moment. Many thanks for staying tuned and welcome back to Spectrum News at 4. On our business news, the Federal Ministry of Works has adopted a funding prioritization framework to guarantee the continuation of critical road projects earlier financed by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited under the Road Infrastructural Development and Refurbishment Investment Tax Credit Scheme. The Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, disclosed this during an inspection tour of the dualization of the East-West Road, Section 3A, from Eleme Junction to Onne Junction in Rivers State. Umahi explained that the move aligns with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's directive that all inherited NNPCL-funded projects must continue without interruption. According to Umahi, the ministry has compiled all projects inherited from NNPCL and submitted them to the President. He stressed that those along the national economic corridors such as the Eleme-Onne Road would receive top priority. And still in business, the Nigerian Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, NUPENG, has suspended its strike following an agreement with the management of Dangote Refinery to recognize workers' right to unionize. The deal was reached at a closed-door meeting convened by the Department of State Services DSS and attended by the Minister of Finance, Wale Edun, and representatives of the Nigerian Labour Congress. The acting NLC General Secretary Benson Upa confirmed the outcome, while the Ministry of Labour said it would issue a formal statement soon. According to the Memorandum of Understanding signed at the meeting, both parties agreed that the unionization is a right under extant labor laws, and employees of Dangote Refinery and Petrochemicals who wish to unionize would be allowed to do so. The MOU further stated that the process of unionization would begin immediately and be completed within 2 weeks. In health, the president of the National Association of Resident Doctors, Osundara Zenit, has disclosed that members of the union will shut down public hospitals nationwide from Thursday. According to him, members of the association would embark on the action over poor working conditions, shortage of power, downgrading of certificates, poor remuneration, and other reasons. Zenit told reporters in an interview that the decision would be reached after a National Executive Council meeting. He added that the strike is also in solidarity with the resident doctors in Abuja and Oyo State who are currently on strike. As still in health, the federal government has begun the nationwide distribution of essential maternal and child health commodities as part of renewed efforts to reduce maternal and newborn death. The distribution was coordinated by the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency in collaboration with development partners in Abuja. Reports say the maternal and neonatal health commodities distributed were worth 2.9 billion naira across 10 states. Speaking at the flag off in Abuja, the Executive Director and Chief Executive Officer of the NPHCDA, Muyi Aino, stressed that the initiative is designed to save lives, close service delivery gaps, and support states in strengthening primary healthcare systems. And now to sports, where the duo of Cyril Dessers and Captain William Troost Ekong have been publicly singled out by the Nigerian Football Federation (NFF) following the 1-1 draw with South Africa in a 2026 World Cup qualifier on Tuesday. The Super Eagles came into the game needing all 3 points to stand a chance of qualifying for the tournament, but they conceded in the 25th minute after Troost Ekong slid the ball into his own net. However, Nigeria leveled just before the break thanks to Calvin Bass's powerful header. In a post-match statement from the NFF Director of Communications, Dr. Ademola Olajire, Dessers, who was withdrawn at halftime, was hung out to dry. Troost Ekong was also blamed for handing the Bafana the opening goal. As still in sports, the Confederation of African Football (CAF) has appointed Ivorian Patrick Tongwai as the center referee for the Confederation Cup preliminary round first leg clash between Asante Kotoko and Kwara United. Tongwai will be assisted by Nuho Kwatara, assistant referee 1, and Lassine Kone, assistant referee 2. The fourth official will be Ibrahim Khalilo Tuare, also from Ivory Coast. Meanwhile, experienced Gambian official Bakari Jame has been appointed as match commissioner, while Sierra Leone's Sanusi Rashid will serve as the referee assessor. The encounter is scheduled for Sunday, September 21st at the Accra Sports Stadium in Ghana. The return leg is built for the Godswill Akpabio International Stadium in New York on the weekend of September 26th and 28th. On our entertainment news, filmmaker Tyler Perry has been reportedly hit with a $260 million sexual assault lawsuit after actor Derek Dixon detailed allegations of harassment and abuse. According to reports, Dixon claimed Perry created a coercive dynamic that blurred professional boundaries and left him fearing for his career. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtvlive.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 4. I am Rita Eno. Enjoy the rest of your day.